I got this guy at IKEA yesterday. Isn't he terrifying? He's awesome. It's like the scariest cat I've ever seen. Hey everybody, it's Patrick. It is Tuesday, and on Tuesdays I talk about long hair. Today I'm going to cover quickly a topic that a couple of people keep bringing up, which is can I have long hair and will it affect my job? So not can I have long hair, because obviously if you're able to grow long hair then you can have it, but if it's going to affect their jobs. And it's a complicated question. It's a really complex question, and I'm going to try to cover it in just a few minutes. So I don't think that this is a comprehensive answer at all, but I did want to give just a couple of thoughts that I have about long hair and whether or not it's going to be a factor in your workplace, and what kinds of things you need to think about when you're talking about long hair and your job. So the first thing I would say is, if you currently have a job and you're growing your hair out, if you currently are employed somewhere, you pretty much know what your office is or your workplace. You know, if you're in a retail place, you know your store. If you are working with a crew, you know your crew manager, you know your boss. If you're working in some sort of service job, you know the rules and regulations of that. So you are at an advantage in that case in terms of long hair, because you can hopefully be comfortable enough to take the temperature of the room, for lack of a better term. You're able to say maybe to your boss, to the other people you work with, to the company as a whole, to HR or whatever, you know, are there any standards in terms of the way that you need to be groomed? In terms of, if you're in, say, food service, then hair plays a factor in what you have to do with it. If you are working as a chef, you may have to pull it back, put it in a hairnet. Serving food, the same sort of thing. If you're in a factory of some sort, it may become a safety issue. You don't want long hair to get caught in any sort of machinery. If you're working in a professional services firm or any sort of office environment, it becomes a little bit more tricky, because it's not really a spoken rule. There's very rarely a rule out there that says, yes, you can have long hair. Men are allowed to have long hair. Men are not allowed to have long hair. And it may, I don't know any legal implications, but I would think that there would be some legal implications as to say whether or not somebody in a professional environment is allowed to do something with their own body and appearance. That said, unspoken rules are usually what determine these sorts of things. And the unspoken rule may be, if you are in a customer-facing position, if you're going out as, say, a salesperson or a representative of your company, they may not want the look of their company to be a guy with long hair. If you are reporting to executives a lot, or reporting to people in your company who are very well established and very conservative in terms of their ideas about appearance, possibly a bit older, in the older generation, which I belong to, so they may have some, I won't say prejudices because it's not that strong, but they may have some preconceived notions about what long hair means. So if you already have a job, it may be best to find out, as you're growing your hair, if this is something that's going to affect, you know, things like your work performance evaluations, your ability to go out to be promoted. You know, they may not think that an executive should have long hair, that sort of thing. If you're not currently employed and you're worried about your employability with long hair, that's also something to take account of. There are a good number of professions where being a little bit more lax on professional appearance is more standard than not. So if you're going to be working for, say, a white shoe law firm, white shoe is just, you know, it's a very fancy law firm. If you're going to be working in that, in certain sectors of the jobs market, you may want to take a real evaluation as to whether or not your long hair is going to affect your ability to secure a job. When you walk into an interview, the first thing that people do is look at you. The very first thing that people do is they see your face, they see the way that you present, how you're dressed, how you shake hands. You know, some people are very affected by whether or not you have a strong handshake or not, if you follow the rules of etiquette. And if they see you walking in with long hair, that may definitely be something that will affect how they think of you. So if you're going into, say, a creative area, if you're going into an advertising firm or, games development or something like that, that might be more forgiving of a long hair man coming into an interview than, say, like I said, a law firm or financial services are not known for being very creative with the way that they present themselves. So think about that. And if you are still committed to having long hair, I don't want to dissuade anybody from having long hair. That noise Gracie's over there scratching her scratching post. She's mad at me for filming right now. If you still want to continue growing your hair, then what can you do to counteract maybe somebody's preconceived notions of what long hair on a man means in terms of being unprofessional? One thing would be make sure that you're groomed especially well. Whether you put your hair up or down, make sure that before you go into an interview, you're going to be completely groomed as well as possible. If it's windy outside or if your hair is out of place, it's just going to make you look unkempt. You may not normally use product in your hair, but you may want to use some product in your hair to keep it in place just for those interactions with people so that they know that you are well groomed. Another thing is if you have long hair and a bushy beard, you may want to consider what that people might think about you in terms of their preconceived notions about what that means. A lot of people tend to think that if you've got the long hair and the bushy beard, it means that you don't take care of yourself. That's completely unfair, but maybe trim down the beard. I tend to think that people nowadays they look past either the beard or the hair, both together, unless it's very well, and I'm not talking about just a regular, well-groomed beard and well-groomed hair. I'm talking about like the big beards. That's usually something that people grow when they feel more comfortable where they are in terms of employment. So make sure you're groomed well, make sure that you're dressed well. And that doesn't mean overcompensating. Don't overdress for your interview if you have long hair, but make sure that you're sharp, you're ironed, you don't look unkempt. That's one thing that people do tend to think about people with long hair, is that they're kind of messy or I don't know, hippies or something like that, which may be who you are normally, but you don't want to present that at an interview. Decide whether you want your hair up or down. I happen to think that if you have long hair and you're pulling it back, it can sometimes make people think that you're trying to minimize the fact that you have long hair, so maybe own it, wear it down if you're comfortable that way. Definitely just present yourself well, be very professional, maybe a little bit on the more conservative side in terms of the way that you present. Be very articulate about the way that you speak to people. Be incredibly gracious when you are talking to them. And this is all stuff that you would normally want to do in an interview anyway. But remember that people are going to have ideas in their heads already about what long hair on a man means. So whatever you can do to present yourself, your skills, your experience, who you'll be as an employee are very important. And that also comes into play when you already have a job. If you have a job and you're growing your hair and you think that there might be an issue, one, if you feel comfortable asking about it, then definitely do this. If not, then it may be time, as you're growing out your hair, just to make sure that you are always well groomed when you come to work. If you happen to dress down at work, maybe up your game a little bit. If you are in meetings with people who don't know you at work when you have the long hair, that might be a day to dress up a little bit. It's just a little bit of finding that balance, because it's really easy to fall into a place where you say, well, I just look like what I look like and I don't care what people think. Unfortunately, nowadays and all the time, people's appearance always plays a role in how they think about you. So presenting your best self at all times is always a good idea. Anyway, those are my God, there's so much you could talk about this, but these are my thoughts about long hair in the workplace. If you have any tips or any stories about the way that having long hair or growing your hair has affected your job, please leave them in the comment box below. I'd love to hear it. If you have any questions about long hair, I'm more than happy to try to discuss them, find out some solutions. I'm here every Tuesday talking about long hair. I also have videos of other subjects, including cooking and some oddball things that we do here on this channel. Would love it if you'd subscribe. There's a red subscribe button just down below. Otherwise, I will see you again later. Thanks for joining me.